5 Japanese superfoods that reset your metabolism. You've been eating cleaner than ever. You swapped the junk food. You started moving your body. You even gave up the foods you actually love. And still, the weight won't budge. The energy won't come back. Your metabolism feels like it's running in reverse. What if I told you the problem has nothing to do with willpower? What if there's a biological switch inside your cells, and right now, for most people reading this, that switch is stuck in the off position? Scientists call it mitochondrial dysfunction. Your mitochondria are the tiny power plants inside every cell in your body. When they're healthy, they burn fat like a furnace. When they're damaged by stress, by processed food, by years of crash dieting, they slow down. And no amount of calorie counting fixes a broken furnace. Here's where it gets interesting. Japan has one of the lowest obesity rates on the planet, not because they starve themselves, not because they spend hours in the gym, but because their traditional diet contains 5 specific foods that directly repair and reactivate mitochondrial function. Foods that Western science is only now beginning to understand, but that Japanese households have been eating for over 1,000 years. Today I'm going to show you exactly what those 5 foods are, what they do inside your body at the cellular level, and how to start eating them this week. Superfood number 1, matcha, the mitochondrial igniter. You've probably heard of matcha. Maybe you've ordered a matcha latte at a coffee shop. But here's the thing, what most Westerners drink is a watered-down, sweetened version of something the Japanese treat as medicine. Matcha is finely ground green tea powder made from shade-grown tea leaves. That shading process forces the plant to produce massive amounts of chlorophyll and a compound called EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate. Try saying that 5 times fast. EGCG is one of the most studied metabolic compounds on the planet. A landmark study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that EGCG increased fat oxidation. That's your body actually burning fat for fuel by 17% over a 24-hour period. Not 1%, not 3%, 17%, and it did this without raising heart rate or blood pressure. Here's the mechanism. EGCG inhibits an enzyme that normally breaks down norepinephrine, a hormone that tells your fat cells to release stored fat into the bloodstream. When that enzyme is blocked, norepinephrine stays active longer, and your fat cells keep releasing fuel. Your metabolism stays elevated hours after you finish the cup. But there's a catch. Matcha also contains L-theanine, an amino acid that works with caffeine to produce what researchers call calm alertness. Unlike coffee, which spikes cortisol and sends your body into fight or flight mode, matcha gives you energy without the stress response. And as we talked about in previous videos, high cortisol is one of the fastest ways to shut your metabolism down. Matcha sidesteps all of that. The Japanese drink ceremonial-grade matcha, whisked with warm, not boiling water in the late morning. No sugar, no oat milk, just the powder and water. That's where the magic is. Superfood number 2, miso. The gut-metabolism connection. Your gut and your metabolism are not separate systems. They are deeply, fundamentally connected. And miso, fermented soybean paste that the Japanese have been eating for over 1,300 years, is one of the most powerful gut-resetting foods ever studied. Here's why the gut matters so much for metabolism. Your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your intestines, directly influences how many calories you extract from food, how efficiently you burn fat, and how sensitive your cells are to insulin. A 2019 study published in Cell found that lean people and overweight people can eat the exact same diet and have dramatically different metabolic responses simply because of differences in their gut bacteria. Miso is a probiotic powerhouse. The fermentation process produces live beneficial bacteria, lactobacillus strains in particular, that colonize your gut and shift it toward a fat-burning, inflammation-reducing environment. A Japanese study from Hiroshima University found that daily miso consumption significantly increased populations of beneficial bacteria while reducing inflammatory markers in the gut lining. But miso goes further. It also contains isoflavones, plant compounds that have been shown to improve insulin sensitivity. When your cells become more sensitive to insulin, they pull glucose out of the bloodstream more efficiently instead of letting it convert to stored fat. Your blood sugar stabilizes, your energy levels out, your metabolism clicks into a higher gear. The traditional Japanese way is simple. A small bowl of miso soup, with wakame seaweed and tofu, first thing in the morning, or with the first meal of the day, not a sodium bomb from a restaurant. Actual fermented miso paste dissolved in hot water. The live cultures survive best when the water is warm, not boiling. That one small habit compounds over weeks and months into a completely different gut environment. Superfood number 3, Wakame, the seaweed that turns on your fat-burning genes. This one sounds unusual if you didn't grow up eating it, but the science behind it is extraordinary. Wakame is a type of sea kelp, a dark green seaweed that shows up in miso soup, salads, and sushi, and it contains a compound that literally cannot be found in any land-based food. That compound is called Fucoxanthin, and researchers at Hokkaido University in Japan spent years studying what it does inside the body. What they found was remarkable. Fucoxanthin activates a protein called UCP1, uncoupling protein 1 inside fat cells. Normally, UCP1 is found only in brown adipose tissue, the type of fat your body actually uses to generate heat and burn energy. Fucoxanthin essentially turns white fat, the kind that packs around your belly and organs, into something that behaves more like calorie-burning brown fat. In animal studies, fucoxanthin produced significant reductions in abdominal fat. Human trials are still ongoing, but a study published in Diabetes, Obesity and Metabolism found that women who supplemented with fucoxanthin lost significantly more weight than the placebo group, with the majority of that loss coming from visceral belly fat specifically. Wakame is also rich in iodine, which is essential for thyroid function. Your thyroid is essentially the master thermostat of your metabolism. When iodine levels are low, and in many Western countries they are chronically low, your thyroid slows down, your body temperature drops, and your calorie burn decreases. One small serving of wakame gives you a significant portion of your daily iodine needs. You can find dried wakame in most Asian grocery stores. Rehydrate it in water, toss it with rice vinegar and sesame seeds, and you have one of the most metabolically powerful side dishes on the planet. Superfood. Number 4. Natto, the longevity food that nobody talks about. Fair warning, natto is an acquired taste. It's fermented soybeans with a sticky, stringy texture and a smell that can clear a room. But in the Nagano prefecture of Japan, one of the regions with the highest concentration of centenarians in the world, natto is eaten almost every single morning. That is not a coincidence. Natto is produced by fermenting soybeans with a bacterium called Bacillus subtilis. This fermentation process creates something unique: Nattokinase and vitamin K2. Let's talk about K2 first, because most people have never heard of it. Vitamin K2 is not the same as K1, which you get from leafy greens. K2 activates proteins that regulate where calcium goes in your body. Without enough K2, calcium ends up in your arteries instead of your bones, contributing to arterial stiffness, reduced circulation, and a metabolically sluggish cardiovascular system. K2 literally redirects calcium to where it belongs. A study in the journal Atherosclerosis found that higher K2 intake was associated with a 52% reduction in arterial calcification. Nattokinase, the enzyme produced by fermentation, has been shown in multiple studies to break down fibrin, a protein involved in blood clotting. Better circulation means nutrients and oxygen reach your muscles and organs more efficiently, which directly supports metabolic rate. And then there's the gut angle again. Bacillus subtilis is a spore-forming probiotic, which means it survives stomach acid better than most other probiotic strains and colonizes your gut more reliably. If miso lays the foundation for gut health, natto builds the walls. Start small, a tablespoon over rice with a dash of soy sauce and mustard, the traditional way. It may take a few tries, but give it 2 weeks and your gut bacteria will start craving it. Superfood number 5. Shiitake mushrooms. The insulin sensitizer, the final piece of the metabolic puzzle, is one of the most familiar foods on this list, and probably the most underestimated. Shiitake mushrooms have been used in Japanese and Chinese medicine for over 6,000 years. Modern science is finally catching up to what ancient healers already knew. The key compound here is erythropoietin. This is a bioactive molecule found almost exclusively in shiitake mushrooms that has been shown to lower LDL cholesterol, reduce fat accumulation in the liver, and critically improve how efficiently your body processes dietary fat and glucose. A study from Tokyo University found that mice fed a high-fat diet alongside shiitake extract gained significantly less body fat than control groups, not because they ate less, but because their bodies were metabolizing fat more efficiently at the cellular level. The shiitake was essentially upgrading the cell's ability to use fuel instead of storing it. Shiitake also contains beta-glucans, a type of soluble fiber that slows glucose absorption, preventing the blood sugar spikes that trigger fat storage. When your blood sugar rises slowly and steadily instead of spiking, Your pancreas releases less insulin. Less insulin means less fat storage signal. Less fat storage signal means your body preferentially burns fat instead of hoarding it. And then there's the immune connection. Lentinan, a polysaccharide in shiitake, has been shown to reduce chronic low-grade inflammation, the kind of silent inflammation that quietly disrupts metabolic signaling for years before you even notice it. When inflammation drops, insulin sensitivity improves. When insulin sensitivity improves, metabolism resets. Sauté them in a little sesame oil with garlic and ginger. Add them to miso soup. Use them as a base for stir-fry. They absorb flavors beautifully, and every serving is doing measurable work at the cellular level. Let's bring it all together. 5 superfoods. Matcha to ignite your mitochondria and calm your cortisol response. Miso to reset your gut microbiome and improve insulin sensitivity. Wakame to activate fat-burning proteins and support your thyroid. Natto to improve circulation, absorb K2, and populate your gut with resilient probiotic strains. And shiitake mushrooms to sensitize your cells to insulin and quiet the inflammation that's been quietly stalling your metabolism for years. Notice something? None of these are pills. None are powders you order from a late-night infomercial. They're real foods that real people in one of the healthiest nations on Earth have been eating for generations. The Japanese didn't hack their metabolism, they just never broke it in the first place. You don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Start with 1. Add matcha to your morning. Drop wakame into your salad. Swap 1 meal a week for miso soup with shiitake. Let it build slowly, the way the Japanese approach most things, with patience and consistency. Because here's the truth. Your metabolism isn't broken forever. It just needs the right signals. And these 5 foods are exactly that. Signals. Biological messages that tell your body it's safe to burn, it's safe to heal, it's safe to let go of what it's been holding on to. If this changed the way you look at your plate, hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this. Subscribe to DocSketch so you don't miss what's coming next. And drop a comment right now telling me which of these 5 superfoods you're going to try first. Is it matcha, natto, shiitake? I read every single comment, and right here on DocSketch. I'll see you in the next one.